Good afternoon. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to tell my story. I enjoy spending time with my family, friends, helping others, giving back to my community, and making a difference in the, in the lives of others. Like many of you, I know someone who has been diagnosed with cancer, and that even with the best laid plans in life, your world can change in an instant. Michelle was my firstborn, only daughter, first grandchild on both sides, had eyes that twinkled, a beautiful smile that drew you in. She was kind, caring, thoughtful, sincere, and put everyone before herself. She loved to help the little guy, would give you the shirt off her back. She was a loyal friend, rarely got angry, could read people. She loved to shop, and had more clothes and shoes than anyone I knew. She loved her family and friends and was loved by everyone who met her. While she was in college, she found her niche, which was teaching, and she was a natural. She was organized, focused, and taught every student as if they were the only one in the classroom. She connected with the students and they with her. She wanted to work in an inner-city school where she felt she could make a difference in the lives of the students. Little did she know that she would make a difference in the students' lives and the lives of so many. Friday, December 12, 2003 began like any other day. I went to school and vividly recall telling my students that in 1 week my children would be home from college and I could hardly wait. Around 10 that morning, I received a call from Michelle asking me to call the doctor as she was experiencing horrific abdominal pain and was having difficulty walking. Luckily, the doctor could see her at 3 that afternoon. By 4 o'clock, she called me from her doctor's office and she told me that she needed emergency surgery for a twisted ovary. We met her at the doctor's office and took her straight to the hospital. What was supposed to be a 1.5-hour surgery turned into 3. After the surgery, the doctor sat us down and told us that Michelle had cancer. My body went into shock as the doctor told us the news. I began to shake all over and could barely speak and became physically ill. How were we going to tell Michelle? There weren't any instructions for this. How were we going to tell her brother Michael, who was a freshman at the time at the University of Maine, getting ready for his own finals? How about my parents, my husband's father, our family and friends? We hadn't even processed the news ourselves. I couldn't believe our world was crashing down, something I hadn't planned for. At the time of her surgery, Michelle was a full-time student at Plymouth State University, ready to begin finals and head home for her 6-week winter break. Her doctors advised her to take a leave of absence, or at the very least, cut back on her course load, as her chemotherapy regimen would be very aggressive. I contacted my insurance carrier and the New Hampshire Insurance Department and was told that it didn't matter that her illness would keep her out of school or require her to cut back on her course load. If she was not a full-time student, she was not able to continue coverage under the family plan. End of discussion. And I was told if I didn't like it, then I could change the law, and that'd take a long time. My response was, I had the time. I still thought I got incorrect information and contacted the local Social Security office, sent letters to my state representatives and senators, the New Hampshire delegation in Washington, the former governor, as well as many of the presidential candidates, and found the information I was given was true. I took to heart what the employee of the New Hampshire Insurance Department said, and I knew I had to change the law. And my motto is, never mess with the mom who's passionate about a cause. Daunting as it was, the most rewarding journey had begun. A road for Michelle to begin chemotherapy for treatment of her cancer, and a road to change the law. Even if I could change the law, it would not help Michelle. Therefore, she made the choice to remain as a full-time student to keep her insurance coverage. How could anyone expect her to remain as a full-time student and a full-time patient? Michelle began an aggressive regimen of chemotherapy that was given every other week, which lasted 48 hours and required her to wear a pump on her hip from January of 2004 to October 2004. all while she continued as a full-time student, earning a GPA of 3.5 or better. However, in November of 2004, 3 short weeks after she completed her treatments, she began to complain of lower back pain, and many tests were run. Sadly, we learned that her cancer had spread to both lungs. We were told that she had many, many, many nodules in both lungs. We were stunned and devastated, and quickly learned that cancer has a way of hiding and can rear its ugly head at any time. The following month, she began her second session of 12 rounds of chemo as she remained a full-time student. Stage 4 colon cancer is advanced, and we were painfully aware that we would most likely outlive our daughter. We were living every parent's worst nightmare. While Michelle was a full-time student and a full-time patient, our family, together with the New Hampshire legislature and the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, the media and staff, and the students of Plymouth State University took the position of, why not? Why not begin to change the law? It was not an easy task. We had to convince many state lawmakers that this was not a handout, the cost of insurance would not go up, or that it was not an insurance mandate. These students were already on their family plan. So we planned our strategy. Fortunately, a former New Hampshire American Cancer Society employee and Peter Ames, the Vice President of Health Initiatives in the Bedford, New Hampshire office, heard my testimony. They offered tips, helped set up meetings with additional legislators, pointed out who was who in the legislature, how the process worked, and connected me with other ACS employees and volunteers, and with someone I could bounce things off when I needed to get over a hurdle. They were very helpful and stood by my side throughout the entire process, as they were vested in my cause and had a why not approach. In the end, Michelle's Law went through every facet of the state legislative process before it was signed into law. After an 18-month journey, Michelle's Law was signed by New Hampshire Governor John Lynch on June 22, 2006. Sadly, Michelle never got to witness the event. She passed away 6 months after graduating from college on November 10, 2005 at 7:20 a.m. with Glenn, her dad, and me by her side, the same way she came into this world. She was just shy of her 23rd birthday. However, our work was not done. Michelle's Law was a state law, but we needed to enact a federal law for all policies that fell under ERISA. I felt like David against Goliath. Michelle never gave up, and neither could I. The process of a bill becoming a law in Washington, D.C. takes longer, much, much longer than it does in the state, usually 5 to 10 years, and can be very costly. Someone told me that it would cost approximately $1 million. I looked at them and said, where am I going to get that kind of money? I don't even have $550 a month to pay for COBRA, never mind $1 million to change a law. However, I knew that every day the law was not a federal law was another day a family may have to walk in my shoes. And I was in this for the long haul, and the money would work itself out as it was needed. In September of 2006, while attending the American Cancer Society Celebration on the Hill, I met with our Washington delegation. I promised them that I would do anything I could to help Michelle's Law get passed. By the time I left Washington, D.C., I knew I had the needed support from our elected officials. Finally, in January of 2007, Michelle's Law was born, and my thought was, what do I do now? I had two choices. I could sit back and let everyone else do the work and wait to get it done, or I could get involved and help. I decided that I was going to get involved and help. I was a teacher by day and a Michelle's Law advocate by afternoon and night. Over the course of time, the list of co-sponsors in the House and Senate grew. Emails, phone calls with many congressional offices were exchanged on a regular basis. The federal version of the bill had to go through the appropriate committees in the House and Senate. Finally, on July 30th, 2008, my son Michael and I were present as Congressman Paul Hodes spoke eloquently about Michelle and Michelle's Law. We witnessed the House pass its version of the law by a voice vote, which was a thrilling moment. Although we were moving along and had fabulous momentum, time was not on our side. If we wanted to get the law enacted, we had to get it passed during the current session of Congress, which was ending in less than 6 months. With the help of ACS-CAN, many senators, including Senator Kennedy, who at the time was battling his own brain tumor, the bill was discharged from the Senate Help Committee. We held our breaths, and thankfully none of the senators put a hold on the bill. On September 25th, we got the word that there would not be a hold, and it passed through the Senate by unanimous consent, nearly 2 years to the day that I spoke with the New Hampshire delegation in D.C. The final stop, the President. On September 30th, 2008, Michelle's law was sent to President Bush, and on October 9th, we completed the journey with his signature. Michelle's law is now the law of the land and allows seriously ill or injured full-time college students who are covered under their parents' health insurance to take up to 12 months medical leave of absence and not risk losing their insurance. In 4 years, as I reflect, I never would have imagined that just over 9 years ago, I would be where I am today. Bonds and friendships have been made that will last a lifetime. I am a very different person now. My story may be a bit unique because of the type of cancer Michelle had at such a young age. I never gave up advocating for Michelle's law, nor did the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network or the members of Congress and Senate to become a law. It was my passion, and as you heard my motto, never mess with the mom passionate about a cause. The American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network is passionate about their causes too. They continue to advocate for Congress and Senate to support laws and policies to help people fight cancer and encourage them to make cancer a top national priority. Our family will never forget Michelle, and we didn't want others to either. She will continue to touch and change the lives of so many, something most of us will never do after 80 years on this planet. Her legacy lives on through Michelle's law, the AnnMarie Morse Memorial Scholarship, which is a permanent endowment at Plymouth State University, a scholarship in her memory from her high school when she graduated in 2000, a perennial garden at our home, and at Granite Bench at Plymouth State. Although I'm not an expert in passing laws or organizing relay, I would like to give you some advice, things that I learned by being involved with ACS-CAN. Be passionate about your cause. Take on a leadership role. Be a good student, no matter how old you are. Learn as much as you can. Let your brain be a sponge. Find others who support your cause. Have a can-do attitude. Show your enthusiasm, as enthusiasm is contagious. Establish your team. Start local and expand. Be organized and prepared. Gather your facts and information. You are going to have to become the expert. Be kind. You catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. Make sure that you network, and still network. Set up face-to-face meetings. It's harder to say no to your face than via the phone, letter, or email. Expect the unexpected. So be prepared to plan a different strategy, plan B. And finally, never give up. By the way, remember the $1 million I told you that it would cost to change a law? I can tell you that at the very most it cost $1,000. Partnering with ACS-CAN was critical. We were a force of grassroots power. Thank you for inviting me and hearing my story about one mom, an ordinary citizen who became an advocate and continued to focus on why not change the law instead of why did this happen to my family. I am AnnMarie Morse. I dream big, hope big, and relay big. I am now going to bring up Melissa Park, who will talk to you about ACS-CAN.